Now, it looks like Quando Rondo literally just ruined his life. I don't know if you've heard the news, but it's very serious. Now, Quando, out-of-body experience, Rondo. I want to talk about this Quando Rondo story. If you don't know, the other day, Quando Rondo ended up getting arrested and indicted on drug and gang charges in his hometown of Savannah, Georgia. Initially, when I saw the news, I'll be honest, I thought it was just one of those regular arrests. Rapper gets caught with a gun type arrest, gets booked into county jail, and released within 72 hours. But come to find out, this is actually very close to the same situation that happened with YSL. Now, that was a RICO indictment, and this is not what that is. However, Quando is up against a slew of charges. On top of that, it looks like the feds conducted some kind of long-term investigation before they picked him up, and that usually means that they have a whole host of evidence sitting just waiting to use it against the defendant, in this case, Quando. Like I said, we're talking drug and gang charges, and usually in these types of stories, the pattern is the more people who get arrested, the worse the situation is, and in this case, Quando Rondo was not the only person who got arrested. He got arrested along with 18 other people, and the indictment in question is 49 counts long. So we got a pretty serious situation right here, man. So Quando's facing 4 different felony charges. According to the indictment in question, he's accused of violating the street gang terrorism. Bro, that's crazy. Yeah, shit. And Prevention Act. Essentially, they're saying that Quando Rondo was a leader of the rolling 60s criminal street gang. You a millionaire, bro. Damn. So he was at the forefront of this thing, putting in work. They're saying that Quando was, apparently managing an entire gang. And you know what usually comes with that, right? The possibility of a long-ass prison sentence, given they have the evidence, of course. In this case, they probably do, just based on the fact that they arrested so many people at once. I mean, these kinds of arrests, that can't be random. It seems very calculated. And what happened precisely here is he was arrested after a police raid went down in his home. The police, along with a joint task force, were collecting evidence at his home and the homes of the other people who got arrested alongside him. They're saying that this is an ongoing investigation, and that sounds about right. After something like this, I have a feeling that they're just getting started, which that's usually how it goes in these types of cases where a bunch of people get apprehended all at once. Not only are they sitting on a bunch of evidence even before the arrest happens, but they're also accumulating a bunch of new evidence in the process. One of the biggest things they can most likely always count on is what happens after, these arrests happen. People instantly start talking because y'all know how it is, right? Everything is all good when you're out in the streets doing your thing, but when you're sitting in that cold interrogation room and they tell them, young man, you're facing 2 counts of this, 2 counts of that, and 3 counts of that, which equals to 25 years in the box. Some magical things happen in that moment, and I'm sure you know what that is. Suddenly, everybody can sing like The Weeknd, right? And that's a normal human response. I'm not clowning anybody. I would have done the same shit, right? I'm telling. And don't let the, digital gangsters tell you different. Shit gets real quick when you're mentally cutting down the years of your life in that interrogation room. It goes from, I ain't telling, I love my gang, to, I love my freedom. What do you want to know? Officer on October 27 at 7 p.m. behind a 7-Eleven, he shot the man over a Slurpee. And this is why I always say it's really cool to be a law-abiding citizen, because this is something you don't ever have to worry about. Obviously, if you're listening to me, I'm sure you're not out here doing nothing. I mean, if you're out here selling a little bit of gas, I ain't gonna hold you. You can probably stay out the way. Even then, your phone might be tapped. Ask me how I know. One of my plugs, I'm pretty sure that nigga got caught. I haven't heard from him since August 2022, so he might be in a bunk bed somewhere, not sure. I need a new plug. I want you to check out this clip of Quando in court. His lawyer is arguing for why he's not a danger to the community and why he's not a flight risk. The prosecution, however, counters that by saying, on top of being an artist, this guy's also a gang member and should not be released to the public.
My client is like a local hero. Born and raised here, done good, had a successful business.
But the state wants him to stay behind bars, saying he faces a violation of the Street Gang Act for a reason.
The Rolling 60s are currently one of the largest and most violent street gangs in Savannah. And that man is the leader of them.
Defense attorney Jonah Pine says his client has no reason to sell drugs.
He's got the support of one of the greatest record labels that this country has, the same record label as Led Zeppelin and Ray Charles.
But the state says that means nothing.
He is a flight risk, Your Honor. He's very good at multitasking. While being a performing artist with all these obligations, he's been able to be an active member in the gang.
Quando's been involved in a lot of different situations, which is put his freedom and safety in jeopardy. The King Von shooting is one example. Aside from that, just last year, someone actually tried to take Quando Rondo out. That shooting in question happened in West Hollywood in August of last year. So what happened is several gunmen drove to a gas station in West Hollywood where Quando Rondo and his guys were, and they ended up popping off shots directly at them. One of his homies low pab ended up getting hit and he died on the scene. I don't want to play you the video, but there was a video of Quando that went viral, literally, you know, screaming for his life as his friend was bleeding to death. Quando was the intended target, which is really scary to think, because one little step to the right or left and he wouldn't be here today. Unfortunately for Quando though, one of his homies ended up paying for the energy that was brought onto him. Quando is very talented, but I've always felt like he's always egging things on. Most street rappers tend to do that because there's a lot of pride that comes with being about that lifestyle. But for Quando, can he really handle it? Because he was the same guy who, after that shooting that took out his friend, decided to publicly denounce his gang affiliations, essentially saying, hey, I'm done, I'm putting the flag down. Now I think it's good that he did that for his own sake, but what's the point of doing that if you don't completely leave that life? At the end of the day, it's gonna come back to haunt you at some point. I don't know how he's gonna get out of this, but if he does, personally, I think it's a miracle. When the feds arrest this many people, they usually have a base and something to stand on that's really concrete. For the most part, they don't go through with something like this if, we're talking about petty crimes that won't stick. At that point, it's a waste of resources. They're going to have to continue the investigation. So surveillance on your phone, tap into your iCloud, all that. And then they strike once they have a substantial amount that they can work with. From there, they're going to keep on building a case against you until they can lock you up for good. I don't know how Quando is going to get out of this. It's really sad to see so many of our young rappers just throwing away their careers like this. I mean, there are so many rappers who are currently behind bars who just literally threw away their lives for nothing, and they're still behind bars. I mean, we got Pooh Shiesty, we got Fetty Wap, and now potentially Quando Rondo. If you got millions on the outside, man, I think you should have all the incentive you need to stay out of trouble and not commit crimes. I don't know, man. It's just looking really bad out here. Anyway, like the video before you leave. Thank you. I appreciate you. And also make sure you're subscribed because we're going crazy right now, okay? We up by like 20 right now. You're in the winning team is what I'm saying. That aside, kind of sad to see Quando throwing away his future like this. I hope I'm not right about it, by the way, but getting arrested in this fashion usually doesn't have favorable outcomes in the long-term trajectory of your life. Any thoughts on this? Really curious what you have to say. With that being said, I am out. You have a good day and drive safely if you're driving, or hope that food tasted good if you just ate. I'm out. Peace.